Hi, I'm Debbie and this is Book Kombucha, where I talk about all things books, bullet journals, and stationery. Today we're going over my Q1 stats. So how did I do for the first quarter of the year? So January, February, and March. I read 55 books. It feels impressive, but I wanted to read less books this year, so I may need to slow down just a bit and maybe not take part in as many readathons. We'll see. And the majority of those books was in March with 22 books read. And February was the lowest at 14. I listened to 515 hours worth of audiobooks, which of course again, March was the highest at 198 hours. And actually January was my lowest at 147. My average rating between the 3 months was 4.2. I purchased 8 books, or acquired, may not have spent any money on them, but I did acquire 8 books, and I checked out 29 books from the library. I had 3 rereads and no DNFs, although I think there was one I was close to DNFing, but it was pretty short, so I just finished it. I did start 16 series. Hopefully I finished some as well. And 36 of my books were considered diverse reads, so had some kind of diversity in them somewhere, either a person of color, some kind of disability, mental health rep, something like that. I listened to a total of 12 audiobooks. I read 9 ebooks and 4 physical books. But I also had 30 books that I did as immersive reads, so either listen to the audiobook and while reading the physical book, or listen to the audiobook while reading my ebook. I was not very diverse in the type of reads I read, though. I had no graphic novels, no manga, no comics. I did have 54 novels and 1 novella. Although of the 54 novels, I did read 1 set of short stories in there as well. So I read 37 adult books, 1 new adult, 12 YA, 3 middle grade, and 2 children's books. Over the 3 months, I had 1 2-star, 10 3-star, 36 4-star, and 8 5-star reads. Like I said earlier, I did read 1 anthology, 5 classics, 1 contemporary, 1 dystopian, and big shocker, 33 fantasy, 1 historical, 1 literary fiction, 1 mystery, 7 nonfiction, 1 paranormal, and 3 romance. So overall, I did have 48 fiction books and 7 nonfiction books. So 35% of my reads was from nonfiction. So what were my 5-star reads? My favorites and my least favorite books. So my 5-star reads, I did read The Written, and that is by Ben Galley. It's the first book in the Emaneska series. I did have 1 reread, and that was The Fall by Ryan Cahill, and that is the prequel novella to the Bound and the Broken series, and this is either my 2nd or 3rd time reading it. My next 5-star read was The Lost Metal, which is the 4th book in the Mistborn Era 2 series, or the Wax and Wayne series by Brandon Sanderson. My 4th one was Kingfall, which is the 1st book in the Kingfall histories by David Estes, and then Heart of a Valkyrie, which is the 1st book in the Vinland to Valhalla series by Melanie Karsak, and that one was an arc I got from the author and loved it. Highly recommend it. The 6th book was Flip, which is the 3rd book in the Slip series by David Estes. So I do have 2 David Estes books on here. One of them is his newest series, and the other one is one of his older sci-fi dystopians. So Flip is a sci-fi dystopian series, or the Slip series, and then the Kingfall histories is one of his epic fantasies. 7th was The Heart Principle by Helen Huang, and that is the 3rd book in the Kiss Quotient series. My last 5-star read of the quarter was The Mother of Learning by Domagoj Kermiak, and that is volume 1. So my favorite book of the month was actually a tie between Kingfall by David Estes and The Mother of Learning by Domagoj Kermiak. They're both quite different. They're both fantasies, but both quite different. Kingfall, of course, is a high epic fantasy with dragons and war and romance, and Mother of Learning is more of a progression fantasy, more of a RPG, so role-playing game style fantasy, and I just thought they were both so much fun. My most disappointing read was The Book of Dragons by Edith Nesbit. And I had such high hopes for that book. It just sounded like it was going to be so good, like a whole bunch of stories about dragons. Now, I knew they were going to be geared towards kids, so I took that into account because I don't typically like children's books. But, just the way that these stories were written, was not my cup of tea. You may enjoy them, and I think when I was a child, I probably wouldn't have thought much about it, and I probably would have enjoyed them, but as an adult, looking back on them, I just wasn't a fan, which was really sad. I think having the book that had the pictures and stuff in it would have helped a little bit, because then at least I would have had pretty things to look at as flipping through, looking at all the cool little dragons. They had like tiny little teacup dragons and a whole bunch of different kinds depending on the story, but it was very disappointing. And I will link up in the cards to my February wrap-up where I talked about a little bit more about why I wasn't a fan of this book. My favorite new author, which is an author that I'd heard about but had not read any of his books yet, and that was Ben Galley, and I read The Written. And I also have, so I have that entire series, the entire Emaneska series, and I also have Forever King, and that is the first book in the Scalusan Chronicles. And I am looking forward to giving that one a try as well. I thought his writing was really interesting. He does a lot of really good fantasy novels, and I'm excited to read some of his other works. He also does some collaboration with David Estes, one of my favorite authors, so I'm very excited to read some of those as well. And I'm excited to read Demon's Reign, which is the first book in the Bloodwood saga, and it is a progression epic fantasy, and I'm excited to see how the two of those authors kind of collaborate together and to see what they come up with. And stay tuned, because I do have my TBRopoly for June coming up. We'll see if the board will be nice to me 2 months in a row, or if it'll be super mean again like it was in April. Thank you so much for joining me today, and please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other videos from me. And if you made it this far in the video, leave something blue in the comments, a blue heart, blue flower, anything like that, in honor of Mother of Learning, one of my top books from the quarter. And until next time, keep reading. Bye!